Taking a look at the games for the afternoon slate Saturday. Bills-Bears gets things going at 1 p.m. Eastern, as we mentioned. The Bills looking to build off that win last week. The Jets and Packers are the late afternoon kickoff, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. The Jets looking to improve to 2-0 on the preseason, with the Pack chasing their first win. And for more on the NFL slate, we now welcome in two guys who want to help you make some money while you're watching. Sportsline's Emory Hunt and the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White. Good to see you both, gentlemen. Let's start Bills-Bears. Biggest storyline here all week long, Mitchell Trubisky getting the nod against his old team. No Josh Allen for the Bills. Both teams sitting at 1-0. 4.5 points favoring the Bears here. Kenny, the over-under sitting at 38. What do you like about this one?
Yeah, well, so far, Jeremy, these preseason games are 17-2 to the under. It's hard to buck that trend, but I'm going to in this game. This is the one game I do like over Buffalo and the Bears. I like the quarterback situation. When you have Mitchell Trubisky against his old team, you know this guy's going to be razor focused today. They will put points up on the board, and I'm so glad Justin Fields is playing. Looked great last week in the second half. I think the quarterback rotations here, there's enough to get points on the board today, and this one should be a fun matchup to watch. So, yeah, I'm over the total.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun game, especially the entire weekend. I think we have a lot of great matchups on this Week 2 slate, but I'm taking the Bills and the points here. I like what I saw last week from Emory. from both Mr. Trubisky and also their third-string quarterback. His name slips me, out of Georgia. But I love what I saw from their quarterback play. They have one of the deepest rosters in the NFL, both offensively and defensively, and I think that's going to be what carries them over the top in this ball game. We're only going to see Fields for a short period of time, so I do think overall the Bills will ultimately win the game. Jake Fromm is the guy's name.
Jake Fromm, that's the guy's name. That's who you wanted right there. I just want to ask you quickly, Emory, I just want to ask you, who is this game more important for, do you think, Trubisky or Fields?
Oh, that's a great question. I say Bill for Fields because he's a long-term answer. And remember, this week he had a little bit of a growing issue, so you don't want to push him too far in a game that doesn't matter.
Okay, this has been a rough week for the New York Jets. They lost defensive end Carl Lawson to the Achilles injury. Zane Lewis, the safety, also lost for the season. He tore a patellar tendon. Rookie quarterback Zach Wilson also had a rough time against Green Bay in joint practices this week. No tackling, but reports saying that he was sacked a dozen times. Thankfully, Green Bay starters are going to see limited action Saturday as they take on the Jets. The over-under here, 31.5. Emory, what's the play for you?
I'm going to take the Packers in this game, and I'm going over. I think this week alone, there was that one practice where it seemed like everyone was going down for the Jets. Serious injury or not so serious injury, but I think that's going to play into the minds this game. They're going to scale back a lot of the guys they're going to be counting on in the regular season. Plus, we saw the Packers get beat down last week. Look for them to be motivated in this ball game, so I think they're going to score over that number and also win the game.
Yeah, I'm in a total agreement with you, Emory. I'll take the points. You know, in these games that mean absolutely nothing, I like to take points. You got two ways to win in these situations. So I'll take Banker quarterback and Jordan Love today. Surprised at this line. Jeremy, this line opened up the Green Bay Packers -3 early in the week, and now is the Jets 2.5. A lot of professional money loves the Jets. I don't know why. I think this is one of the weaker football teams to begin and during the regular season, and now they have nothing but injuries. Kyle Phillips on the defensive line on the PUP list. Keenan Williams, their best defensive tackle on the PUP list, and now they lose Carl Lawson. They lose Zane Lewis. Also on the PUP list, Ashton Davis. 5 players on the starting 5. I don't know why this line is the way it is. I'm taking the points with the Packers.
All right, that does it for the afternoon games. We're going to hit up the evening games in a bit, so sit tight, gentlemen. But first, let's recap what the guys think in terms of the afternoon tilts. In terms of the Bills taking on the Bears. Bears favored by 4.5 points there. Emory likes the Bills in that one. Kenny's going with the over. As he mentioned, 17-2 to the under so far in the preseason games, but Kenny going against the grain here. He's going with the over. He thinks there's going to be some points in that game. And in terms of the Jets at the Packers, Emory likes take Green Bay and the over 31.5. As for Kenny, he says take Green Bay. Can't understand why the line is the way it is. All right, for all the latest storylines from the league and beyond, be sure to check out Will Brinson and the Super Friends on the Pick 6 podcast. They'll be all over the Week 2 action, previews, reviews, and analysis. Check out the Pick 6 pod wherever you get your preferred podcast audio. 4 games in the 7 o'clock hour tonight as preseason week 2 continues in the NFL. The Falcons and Dolphins each try for their first wins of the preseason in Miami Gardens. Ravens try to extend their preseason winning streak to 19 straight games against the Panthers. Ben Roethlisberger will see a series or two. Steelers hosting the Lions, and some tension between the Titans and Buccaneers this week. We're going to see how that plays out in Tampa. Welcome back. Sportsline's Emory Hunt and the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, as we look at the Week 2 games from an investment opportunity perspective. Now, reports out of Dolphins camp this week said Tua Tagovailoa was decisive, showed good pocket awareness, and connected on some big plays. But in joint practices with Atlanta, the offense struggled in the red zone, which was also the case against the Bears last week. So hosting the Falcons this week, the over-under at 36. Dolphins favored by 5. What's your play here, Kenny?
Yeah, again, meaningless game. It doesn't mean anything for either team. They keep standings, but really the coaches could care less. We've seen good teams go 0-4. We've seen bad teams go 4-0. I'm taking the 5 points in this game. I like the quarterback rotation better. Felipe Franks and A.J. McCarron. And we're going to get today, we'll see Matt Ryan for, I think, at least 2 series today. Jacoby Brissett, Reed Stennett well below average. So in the quarterback rotations, I have a 2.5-point advantage to Atlanta. I thought this game should be more about Miami 1.5. So yeah, give me the 5 points today.
I'm laying all those points with Miami, man. I saw that game last week against Tennessee, and A.J. McCarron looked like he never played ball before, which was unheard of because he was a really good reserve quarterback for a long time in Cincinnati and in Houston. Just didn't look the part in that ball game, and I think you'll see Miami play a lot better. I do like Jacoby Brissett and what he was able to do. He built that lead up against Chicago. So I think offensively speaking, you're going to see a lot better, more consistent output from the Dolphins in this game. So I'm laying the 5 with Miami.
And they need that consistency after struggling in the red zone last week and throughout the week this week in those joint practices. Let's talk about the Ravens trying to extend their preseason winning streak to 19 straight games. I guess, Kenny, you say the preseason doesn't mean anything. I mean, for the Ravens, 19 straight wins. They're obviously loving the preseason. The joint practice versus the Panthers featured 5 Ravens interceptions. Mark Andrews needing an ambulance. I mean, you talk about some of the drama in these preseason, just these joint practices. We're seeing a ton of it. Panthers here, the over-under 35.5. What catches your eye in terms of this game, Emory?
The fact that this is the most exciting game of the day because you have the Ravens who care about the preseason, and you get the P.J. Walker experience for the Panthers. Made the game exciting last weekend, and I think we're going to be in for a treat with this ball game. Because the Ravens take the game seriously, I'm taking the Ravens to win, so lay those points. But because we get P.J. Walker and that offense and his ability to create off script, look for a lot of points to be scored in this ball game back and forth. So also take the over.
Well, I'm gonna go under in this game because I have a feeling that I don't really like the quarterback rotation. Not a feeling. It's just my power ratings. I have Walker and Will Grier 2.5 points below average. We're going to see Tyler Huntley for a vast majority of this game for Baltimore. And, you know, I don't know if it's caring about winning. It could be more with John Harbaugh that he is the #1 head coach in the NFL in talent evaluation. And he brings in guys that are bargains, and his second and third string players are way better than everybody else. If everybody had said, all right, this year we're just going to use second and third strings, Baltimore would go undefeated because they have the best second and third string in football every single year. And it's because John Harbaugh's talent evaluation. Pete Carroll's probably the second best talent evaluator in the entire NFL. Bill Belichick may be third. Bill Belichick's the best in preparation, but talent-wise, John Harbaugh knows it better than anybody else. So I'm going to go under in this game just because the quarterback rotation.
And the Ravens favored by 3.5 there. Okay, Brashad Perriman, the wide receiver, could make his debut for the Lions this week. And hope to see offensive tackle Penei Sewell do some damage. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Roethlisberger only expected to play a series or 2 in their 3rd preseason game. Remember, they get 4. Don't expect him to play more than that, is what Mike Tomlin had to say. The mystery is going to be how Tomlin distributes the reps between Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph. He said he has a plan, but he's going to adapt it and will go off script if need be. You look at the Steelers here, favored by 6.5. The over-under sitting at 36.5. How does Detroit's defense hold up against a starting QB is one of the big questions going into this game, Kenny. How do you play it?
Yeah, it will be. This one, I'm going to be cringing. It's a game that I won't really want to watch. I'll just get the stats after the game. But again, this many points in a meaningless football game, I'm going to take those points. If you take plus 5.5 points or more over the last 4+ years, you're 12-5-1 ATS. It showed last week. I had Cincinnati. I didn't want to see that game. One of the worst teams in the NFL going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the world champions. The Bengals come out with a win. And I think in this situation, the third preseason game for the Steelers, I think we're going to see more reserve second and third strings from Mike Tomlin in this football game. So I'm going to take Detroit, an organization that needs to win. Dan Campbell is a fiery guy. I think he's going to be very motivated. And I talk about not caring to win games. I think Dan Campbell is going to care to win this game because he needs to win for Detroit.
I'm laying those points with Pittsburgh. Defensively, we've seen them turn the ball over each and every game. They came back against the Cowboys. We saw Dwayne Haskins lead a comeback against Philadelphia, and that's the biggest storyline on the Pittsburgh side, the matchup between Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins has led scoring drives every time he's been in the ball game. On Detroit side, their battle to watch is between David Blau, their third string quarterback, and Tim Boyle. I think Blau was a better player. We saw him last year on Thanksgiving have a big game, and I think that's someone that can give them a chance to try to stay in the contest, but I don't think Detroit has enough firepower on the perimeter to hang with Pittsburgh, who also can turn the ball over. So lay those points with the Steelers.
You talk about the losing to the Bengals in their preseason opener, and that has led to an uptick in intensity for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some heated practices this week between the two teams. Bruce Arians was not happy. The second day of joint sessions saw 5 altercations break out. Both Arians and Mike Vrabel expressing a zero tolerance for fighting. Antonio Brown was booted for punching other player. No starters playing this weekend. Thank goodness, I guess, for that. Arians saying the reason for the intensity on Thursday was because of the fact that the starters were told they weren't going to play this weekend. I mean, I don't know if this is a game that means nothing or not, Emory, because there seems to be a lot of intensity between these two teams this week. The starters aren't going to see anything, but it's those second and third tier guys that are obviously fighting for something. There's a little bit of spice going into this one. How are you looking at this game?
I'm looking at it as a defensive battle because of the intensity that you talked about and which quarterback can handle pressure better. And unfortunately, you can't trust either one of these guys that's coming in reserve for their starters. So look for a low-scoring game. So I'm going to side with the better defense in this one, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm on a low-score game here. Very, very solid defenses on both teams, I think, in this game. Mike Vrabel, a defensive guy. His defense has not been great the last couple of years. I think they're improved this year. Tampa's defense, we know how good they are, even though it is the second strings against each other. That's the most important part about this, is that there's not a lot of continuity with these offenses, and that's why we're seeing 17-3 to the under so far this preseason. Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin don't do a lot for me. On the Tampa side, Deshaun Kaiser, Matt Barkley, again, right around slightly below average NFL quarterback. So yeah, give me under 35, Titans Buccaneers.
And the game's basically a pick 'em at this point, 1 point to the Buccaneers. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Once the sun sets, we're going to have a couple more games that we will talk about. We'll do that in a second. But first, let's recap the picks for the rest of the afternoon games. Falcons at the Dolphins. Emory likes Miami. Kenny going the other way with Atlanta. In terms of the Ravens, of course, they're going after their 19th straight preseason win. Emory likes Baltimore in the over there. Kenny says go with the under. They differ on the Steelers and Lions. And Emory likes the Buccaneers against the Titans. Kenny says stay away from the total, take the under in terms of the total. And for more in terms of wagering and what you need to know on a daily basis, you get daily picks in under 10 minutes via the Early Edge podcast. It's available every morning in your inbox by 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Download and follow wherever you get your preferred podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.